Hello there, welcome back to another episode of The Whispers of Lindwurm. This is Hoopoe, whispering into your ears the updates about the Warcrow universe and its games. Familiar looks, right? This attire of mine stems from today's episode when we will be taking a stroll through the Sÿenann magical forests. It's always great to see what's cooking there. And also, we will continue to dig deeper into the knowledge of Warcrow's universe, and we are going to speak about a fundamental element, the orichalchum. Hold on, hold there. I know where this is going. But Hoopoe, we already know what orichalchum is. Oh my god, that is so unoriginal. Why don't you... Listen to me, travelers. Forget whatever you think you know about orichalchum in other contexts. This is a Warcrow universe, and things might work a little differently here. Who's up for a walk? Shall we begin? Orichalchum is the natural mineral that resonates with the proximity of the shard in the sky. And orichalchum acts as a catalyst of any kind of magic, be it a spell or an artifact. It is an indispensable element in the magical process. Even though it was abundant in Lindwurm in the past, today is not so common. Each nation in Lindwurm has its own reserves and very few extraction points, and they are attentively guarded. The nation boasting about the access to the orichalchum seams is Mount Haven, and the dwarves are the ones who are selling orichalchum to the other nations. Orichalchum is not magical per se. It must be present to a greater or lesser extent in every object that would qualify as magical, from a potion to a weapon. And now we are going to learn a little bit more about the forest elves, the Sÿenann. The Sÿenann dwell in the magical forest spread through Lindwurm. They are not a declining nation. Quite the opposite. This new cycle of magic is making the forest thrive and rise powerfully. Despite the elven woods being physically separated, for the Sÿenann, they all constitute one great forest. They can travel from one forest to another through portals that appear within their dominions. Thus, they don't need to leave the shelter of the wilderness to travel. Convenient. Due to these permanent connections, a common culture has been created despite the distance between them all. Well, that is distance judged by a foreigner's eye. The elves are strongly attached to their woods. They guard a special kind of tree, the Sÿenann. To the elves, these trees host the spirits of their ancestors. A Sÿenann might be protected by more than one elf. They are not exclusive for a particular someone. Until now, the Sÿenann lived peacefully inside the forest without meddling with the affairs of the outside world. However, this has radically changed with the rise of the fog and its menace. They know very well what's hiding behind these foggy tides. Thus, they are going to take action. Because the best defense is an effective attack. They will leave the forest to bring the war to the lines of the fog if necessary. Nevertheless, living the magical forests comes with a toll. The bond between the elves and the forest is so strong that when they live for an extended time, they experience physical and mental consequences. Fellow travelers, the moment has come for you to meet the second character in Warcrow Adventures, the second member of this dysfunctional family. I might present to you Darach wait, how was it? this is absurd. I cannot do this. It always has to be him. Always the odd one out. But who am I kidding? I have a soft spot for him. Wild devil, I will forgive him anything, even having such a complicated name to recite. Guess nobody imagined we would be saying it out loud someday. Huh? Anyway, travelers, here's the apple of everyone's eye. Darach, our elf ranger from Sÿenann. You're up, Whiteling! Let us learn a little bit more about Darach. Like all elves, Darach was assigned his very own Sŷenann, a sacred tree to safeguard and tend to as a member of his community in the no-return forest. The emergence of the fog brought forth a new threat to the borders of the urban woods, and the Sÿenann have chosen not to hide in the trees anymore. They will hunt these new creatures themselves. The great captain of the no-return forest chose Darach to become the Sÿenann's eyes and ears in the outside world, in Hawthorne Point. Darach's naturally sociable demeanor has made fitting in the city easy for him, earning him the nickname Whiteling. However, being away from the forest, as we explained, is no easy ordeal for the Sÿenann, and Darach must come back to the no-return forest regularly in order to maintain his strength and his health, as well as to keep his superiors informed. Darach knows that the adventuring companies that have been sprouting in Hawthorne Point are the key to go into the fog, to study it, to analyze it, and maybe learning what's actually hiding behind its threatening presence. Darach is an elf ranger, and that makes him the ranged, damaged character of the group. As an elf, he's swift, he's quick, thus his ability attribute and his movement value are higher than Sorka's. Darach can cause great damage in his activations. He is the character most ranked attack oriented. He can also use his bonuses to displace himself, and some of his abilities can target enemies so he can strike harder. His main weapon is his trusty bow. In Warcrow Adventures, the characters will not only have their character sheet to play, but also a series of items materialized in cards. To give you a taste of what the cards would look like, we will be using Darach's. Listed in his character sheet as his initial equipment, we have the bow, allied armor, and the lucky acorn. The item cards in Warcrow Adventures are divided into 3 categories: weapons, armor, and special objects. Each of these cards may have associated an action, an ability, or even both of them. Here is what a weapon card looks like. Each of the weapon cards comes with its own specification regarding its range. Also, they have their very own action, attack, and a role associated with it. When I am playing with Darach and I want to attack, I would place my energy cubes where suitable and then roll according to the equipped weapon. In this case, I would roll 2 yellow dice. Weapons may also have switches you can activate using the symbols from your rolls. Armor cards add additional dice to your values of armor or defense, sometimes to both. Like weapon cards, these can also include switches. And finally, we have the special objects. These are the fun ones. These objects may have their own abilities, actions, switches, all together sometimes. As we have mentioned in previous episodes, your characters will progress through the dungeon crawler, gaining new equipment cards. This is the reason why the equipment list on the character sheet is called Initial. And before we move on, one little thing. It is important, travelers, listen carefully, because I know you're going to get all defiance mode with me, and I'd rather save time here. Each character has their own list of equipment cards, exclusive for each character. Equipment cards in this dungeon crawler are not interchangeable. Sokka cannot shoot with Darach's bow, and definitely Darach cannot wield Sokka's pick. Not gonna lie, it would be incredibly funny to see them try, but equipment cards are not interchangeable. Are you ready to see his miniature? Or you're not? I can assure you that. Whiteling, John Pond, sweetheart, bring it in, Connor! Look at our boy, how sharp he looks. I love him, I love him, I love him. I love his attitude, I love his hairstyle, and when I see him like this, I almost forget all the headaches he's caused us. Sorry, Hoopoe speaking, bear with me. Dara is a special character. I mean, all of them are, but there is so much behind the scenes with him. He has been certainly a journey, and to be able to finally show him to you makes my heart skip a bit. I know I've said this about Sokka too, but it's true. I have a soft spot for my family. Like, that's a secret. And that's it for now. Thank you for joining us today. Make sure to follow and subscribe to not miss any updates of the Whispers of Lindwurm. Tune in with us next time for yet another character reveal and new playable cards within Warcrow Adventures, a new miniature, and much more. How would you like to visit the hegemony of Embersig with me? Have a lovely day, travellers, and be aware the fog is coming.